All right, hey, what's going on, everybody? AWB, I'm back at it. Just want to say what's up to everybody and wait for a couple people to jump in here. Then I'll go ahead and get started. So I got a few things lined up that I want to get into. But yeah, first thing I want to say, what's up, Lou? First thing I want to talk about, go ahead and if you haven't already, grab my book. The link will be in the description. And it's Odds on Authority: How to Hold Public Servants Accountable for the from the streets to the screen, documenting the fight for freedom. Yeah, yeah. And in this book, I'm just talking about how powerful just having a camera is, and knowing that you're not doing anything You're not doing anything wrong when you're recording everything that's happening. That's actually the best thing that you can do, really. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. So let me go ahead and get started. Got a few videos I want to check out. Share this tab. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Got a few people in here. Now go ahead and start the video. So this is Here's the Deals channel. The title of this video is "This Gaggle of Cops Messed Up with the Wrong Cameraman." We'll see how this goes.
Before we get into this video, I want to add a little preface because
Stay back in the tree, dude. Just go back.
Shut up, stupid.
Yes, you can stay back by the tree.
You asked me to stay.
I'm telling you to.
Well, you do that.
Am I going to have to go hands-on with this guy because he bruised my fragile ego?
before we get into this video, I want to add a little preface because invariably there are people, a lot of people who view this and they find what this man says to these cops distasteful, offensive. They can't understand why you would talk to public servants like this. Hey, after all, they're here to serve and protect us. And it even says so on the side of the car right here. Look, it says public safety. These are public safety officers. A large percentage of the time, and that's why I want to preface this video, a large percentage of the time when you see a traffic stop or when you see police interaction with a member of the public, it's not for the benefit of the member of the public. It's for the benefit of the police officer, the agent of the state. And usually they're not there to protect rights. They're there to trample rights. And so I do want to preface this video with this piece of information right here. And if this information that you see on the screen is even close to being accurate, you've got not servants and protectors, you got people who are out there harassing and collecting from the rest of us so that they can build the coffers of the state, so they can be more powerful and we can be less powerful. It's basically a transfer of wealth and power through the agents of the state called law enforcement officers. It says, of the 196 million licensed drivers, and keep in mind this is a country of approximately 333 million people. Of the 196 million licensed drivers across the country, approximately 1 out of every 5 will receive what? A traffic ticket throughout the year. 1 in 5 people will receive a traffic ticket. That's 20% of a population of 196 million drivers. In 2018 alone, over 40 million traffic tickets were issued by law enforcement agencies. Now, what this statistic doesn't say is that the average traffic ticket is around 150 to 160 bucks. So you're talking about 40 million times 150 or $160. On average, over 125,000 traffic tickets are issued daily. That's about 86 traffic tickets every single minute of every single day, because that's 125,000 divided by 1440, which is how many minutes are in a day, 1,440 minutes. So that's 87 traffic tickets issued every single minute of every single day times $150 per ticket. Cops generate over $13,000 every single minute. There are 525,600 minutes in a year times $13,000 a minute. That's over $6 billion a year just in traffic tickets. $6 billion. $13,000 a minute police extract from us. So my next question is, how many law enforcement agents are there throughout the country? 708,000 as of 2022. There were approximately 708,000, and that's up from 660,000 the previous year. I've seen different estimates on this, but it's around 700 to 950,000 law enforcement agents patrolling the streets, issuing tickets, harassing. Now, do cops do good things sometimes? Yes, there's no argument there. Cops get cats out of trees. We saw a cop 2 or 3 months ago who got something out of the throat of this little kid and saved his life. There's no contention here that cops sometimes do good things. But I also have no doubt that the Nazi SS, the Nazi soldiers in Hitler's Germany of 1930 also did good things. They pet dogs. They were probably good to their family. Maybe they abused their family. Maybe there's a high percentage of domestic abuse back in the 1930s with Nazi soldiers, as there's a high percentage of domestic abuse within law enforcement in America. So I wanted to preface that before we went into this, because you have to understand, when you see a law enforcement officer stopping a member of the public, a lot of people out there will assume that the officer is on the right side of the law, or that the officer is doing a good thing, that he's making society safe, that he's helping your community, that he's protecting. And a large percentage of the time, per statistics, nothing could be further from the truth. So let's take a look at this. This comes from Ray's camera, and I will leave the link in the description below. Check this out.
Please, take back the tree, dude. Let's go back.
Shut up, stupid.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, the Mesa Police Department proudly displays the thin blue line of domestic terrorism patch.
We asked you to stay back by the tree.
You asked me to stay.
I'm telling you.
Well, you do that.
You
I'm right here on the sidewalk, dude.
listen.
You listen. I'm on the
You have
sidewalk.
every right to record.
Right.
You
I have every right to be on the
When
sidewalk.
we tell you where our scene is at,
Set up a
that's
scene.
what you have
Set a
to
scene.
do. I'm telling you.
Set up a scene.
My officer said to
Set up a
step behind the tree.
scene.
If we have every right to record, then that would mean that I'm exempt from your edict on where I can record. If I can stand on a sidewalk and I can record, and I have every right, like he said, in the cop's mind, he's saying you have every right except for the right that I grant you. Step over there. Get back. It looked like the guy with the camera, Ray's camera, was a decent distance away.
That is
Set up
the
a
scene.
scene.
Are you going to push the issue here?
Set up a scene,
I'm
dude.
asking you nicely just to back up to the tree.
You're asking me. Are you? You're flip-flopping. Which is it? What are you doing?
Telling you to.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you.
Back up.
What?
To the tree.
What? You guys, I'm recording. I'm busy. Dude. Shut up. You dummy.
You're really going to cause an issue. Just because
You're causing an issue. I'm just watching. You're causing an issue, not
Why are
me.
you nervous?
Why are you bothering me?
I'm not bothering you. I'm telling you what to do.
You're bothering me. You're annoying the shit out of me.
Okay.
With your fucking threats. Good ass threats. I should be able to watch and hear. I'm not bothering you guys. You're bothering me, dude. That's why I'm being stupid. Dummy.
So this is the Mesa Police Department. One of the reasons you want to be close to a scene is not just because you want to capture video, but you want to hear what's being said. We know that oftentimes, again, a high percentage of the time, cops are out there lying to people. They're misrepresenting what the law really is, or they're just outright not telling the truth. They're lying about what's going on. And they will try to corral somebody, and they will try to get somebody to talk, because everything the cop knows, everything that that person says will be used against them. It won't be used for them. It won't be used for their benefit. It will be used to their detriment. So you want to get as close as you possibly can to the scene, not just so you can record video, but you can record audio as well.
Was that so hard?
I just heard somebody yell. I don't know if it was from a car or what. I heard somebody yell, officer safety is cowardice. Public safety is heroism. Officer safety is cowardice.
Was it so hard? No, was it?
Hey, you have a nice day. Better day, actually.
Quit violating rights with your own lawful orders. Toothless bites right there, dude. Toothless bites.
You're done. Fucking 2 sergeants rolling around in one car. The incompetency high.
Both of them.
You're supposed to have a vest on, stupid.
He's not wearing this. He's not.
A yellow vest.
Guys, I had no idea that Simon Pegg was now employed with the Mesa Police Department.
What's wrong with you?
Anytime
Look at that
you're on
stupid.
the roadway.
Didn't know you guys like dumb?
That's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
You just prove it. Yeah, but buckle up, stupid.
I also want to highlight the fact that this is the Mesa Police Department. The Mesa Police Department is especially evil. How do we know? Because they harbor this gang unit led by Rudy Monrez. Remember what Rudy Monrez and his gang of thugs did to this guy right here? This is Rudy Monrez. This is the gang unit of the Mesa Police Department. And this right here is Daniel Barraza. Daniel Barraza was holding a birthday party for his daughter. Some pervert came in and started messing with a bunch of kids. Daniel Barraza took care of business, roughed the guy up. The guy goes out in the parking lot, calls the Mesa Police Department, and the Mesa Police Department, who's supposed to be protecting kids and the rest of us, abused the actual protector. That's why I have a problem with these people right here. And that's why I don't have a problem with people verbally manhandling these people as they go about the business of extracting the hard-earned income of the American tax cattle, or just generally abusing them by trampling their rights. Leave your thoughts about this for the World and Global Thought Police in the comment section below. I will leave the link to Ray's camera in the description. And if you visit him, let him know here's the deal sent you. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list or my website.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's get into the next one. What we got going on here? Oh, we gotta check this out. So y'all, hold on. I'm gonna get it pulled up and everything. But if y'all remember this one, hold on. If y'all remember this, they actually handicapped this man. This man was just walking, minding his business, and the cops came and threw him on the ground and pretty much broke his neck for no reason. They just had something against this guy for whatever reason, and they decided to break his neck, and then the guy died. I think a few weeks later or something like that. But it was terrible how they were handling him. So this is what happened with that case.
Hey, Matt. The fire department.
8 months ago, I told you about Anthony Silva, who was arrested, handcuffed, and then slammed headfirst into the ground, resulting in him being paralyzed, spending a year.
Terrible. Can you believe? Listen to what he just said.
Anthony Silva, who was arrested, handcuffed, and then slammed headfirst into the ground, resulting in him being paralyzed, spending.
He was arrested, slammed headfirst into the ground, and there was no reason that they should have been arresting him. Insane.
A year dying in a hospital bed.
You just got more trouble for yourself. Now you're not telling. He's not gonna want to move. Move this leg. Move.
I talked to his attorneys, and you're not going to believe this. We now know the officers' names and the fact that their employer did not even bother to even do an investigation, even though a man was paralyzed and died.
From what we can tell in the depositions and the paperwork they've turned over during discovery, there's been no investigation whatsoever.
So it always gets back to they're more concerned with money and covering their backside than doing the right thing.
And the crazy thing is that it was all caught on body cam footage, and there's no reason why they still could not today perform that investigation. But they'd rather defend their police officers and avoid having any money rather than see that justice is done. Let's go through it, and I'll tell you how you can help.
And even though they acknowledge that he said he was paralyzed, and they acknowledge that they never saw his legs move after the takedown, they decided to put out a call for a code 2, and the ambulance didn't think it was a priority and didn't come for more than 30 minutes. So they have no excuse for that.
On the afternoon of October 8, 2022, Anthony Silva's life was irrevocably altered when Stanislaus County deputies unleashed a brutal assault, leaving him quadriplegic and eventually causing his death on September 10, 2023. Mr. Silva was outside the Riverbank Community Center in Riverbank, California, near a gazebo that is a public facility. Mr. Silva was 39 years old. He was a high school graduate, and for several years before this incident, he had sort of been off and on homeless. Stanislaus County deputies Kamara and Jiang approached Mr. Silva and immediately executed a forceful takedown and arrest, though Mr. Silva offered no resistance, though he was not suspected of any serious crime, and though he was not a threat to anyone.
No, wait, relax. All right, bro. Come on, bro.
There was no reason he should be face down on the ground right now. There's no reason.
Just relax, dude.
Come on, why are you just hitting me like that? Zach,
Give me your hands.
Zach, dude.
I know, just give us your hands. Just relax.
Why are you this up?
Just give us your
I can't even look at nobody.
Deputies Kamara and Jiang detained Mr. Silva without any reasonable suspicion that he had committed any crime.
Why'd you do that to my hand? My phone arm. Why? Please, why? I need to know. I need to know. I told you why. Hey, I'm asking you. Why'd you push that right in front of your hand? It's not running.
No reason.
Yeah, what's wrong? Remember the answer. You know.
Keep it out. Keep it open. Hey, where did I go?
Deputies Kamara and Jiang led Mr. Silva to a nearby gazebo, and Deputy Bavaro from the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department met them there.
Sit down. Sit down. Please.
I'm next to my house. I won't let my pockets. You don't have to get out.
Stand up. I want you up.
I need to go to the restroom to pit.
During their conversation with Mr. Silva, Deputy Kamara became angry and forcefully slammed Mr. Silva headfirst into the ground with help from Deputies Jiang and Bavaro.
Where do you want this truck off at?
Oh, that's my belongings. My
Well,
phone died over here.
I can't go with you.
Why?
You're going to jail.
For what, bro?
Your truck
My cash.
Where's
I
your
have
cash
to get something to drink. My water is not free.
Where's your cash at?
Come on, bro.
Yeah, stand up.
Honestly, I don't have to go to jail. You're not letting me out now.
Stand up. So,
Yo, man, I'm asking. Where's my cash? Where's my cash?
we'll take it.
Give my helmet. Out of my helmet. Come on, God.
Look at this. Absolutely.
Stop.
Insane.
You got a wrap? Yeah. Do I 6?
Ow.
They turned him face down into the ground because he didn't like that they were arresting him for no reason. That's pretty much it. And the man ended up dying from that, which is insane. You have to think about this when dealing with police. Like, you never know that could be your last interaction with them ever in life.
Relax.
The forceful takedown of Mr. Silva resulted.
And they will tell you to relax after they slammed you face down into the ground, or after they shot you, or after they tased you, or after they have pepper sprayed you. They'll say, calm down, relax. As if you could actually do that after they put you in the situation they've done.
In cervical fractures of the C6 and C7 vertebrae. In layman's terms, Mr. Silva's neck was broken. Due to his broken neck, Mr. Silva couldn't get back to his feet. Mr. Silva immediately told the deputies, I'm paralyzed.
You just got more trouble for yourself. Now you're on telling. You're not bleeding, Anthony. You're fine. Yeah. You're fine, buddy. What's up? You can knock it up your Anthony. Intro 2 K6. It's going to be Stanislaus in 6. Relax. Here. Fine, Anthony. Anthony, you're fine, buddy.
The deputies did not promptly call paramedics.
Yeah.
Instead, as Mr. Silva lay on the ground, deputies Kamara and Jiang began to move his injured body. Without giving his neck any support, they carried his limp body to a nearby picnic table and sat him upright.
We got ambulance coming, okay? If we stand you up, are you going to walk?
You want to shake, Anthony?
Okay, buddy, we're going to roll you over towards me. Okay? I'm going to lift you up a little bit. Okay? Okay?
Sir.
Good. Yeah. Ow. I can't.
They just broke his neck, and that's how they treat him.
What got you? Let me go. Wait, we're not going to start this again, dude. Relax, dude. Relax. No, you're going to jail, so relax.
What type of human beings act like this? You just have to wonder, what kind of humans are these that put on the uniform and become police officers? What type of human are you dealing with?
Do not hit me again with the head. You got one felony charge ready. You're fine. Oh, you good, Mama? Yeah, but you no, like you got shoulder check me. Yeah. So I should have. I'm on, so I should have. Yours would have caught the whole thing.
Moving Mr. Silva multiple times exacerbated his neck injury, resulting in permanent quadriplegia. Then Mr. Silva was transported to the hospital, where he spent a miserable last year of his life confined to a hospital bed. He would never leave the hospital bed, completely paralyzed, with a feeding tube down his throat, really unable to even talk. Finally, his body succumbed to the injury that he had that day. While he was still alive, though, he was able to connect with one of the best civil rights lawyers in the nation, and one of the best civil rights lawyers, of course, in California, a guy named Dale Gallipo. Dale filed the lawsuit, and I was fortunate enough to be able to interview Dale and also his associate Cooper, who's working on the case, about what has happened since the last video. They've taken all the depositions, so we know what the officers have to say for themselves. Really, the most egregious thing here is the fact that this man died. Really, it's undisputed. Not only was there no accountability, no discipline for the deputies who were involved, but you're not going to believe this, there was not even any internal investigation whatsoever.
So I've been a lawyer for about 35 years. I started out doing personal injury law and criminal defense. About 22 years ago, I decided I was going to specialize in civil rights cases. So I've handled probably several thousand, I think over 300 or 400 shooting cases. I mean, that's how crazy the numbers are. I've gone to trial at least over 100 times in federal court against the police.
What was the reason for the officers confronting Mr. Silva that day in the first place?
I believe they got a call about somebody who was in the park causing a disturbance, or they thought he was chasing someone or maybe trying to fight someone. But it turned out that he had never fought anybody. And I think there's a short video that shows that portion. So really the whole thing was exaggerated. Plus they wanted him to leave the park, and he's walking out of the park, contrary to their deposition testimony, where they claim he was stopped and in some type of a fighting stance. He's walking out of the park as the officers approach him, tell him to stop. He eventually stops and turns towards them. And, then it all starts.
Did any of the individual officers during their depositions take any responsibility for it at all?
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to go with this is just an unfortunate accident, and he was resisting, and we had no choice but to take him down to try to avoid further injury to ourselves and even him. That to me is quite ironic that they are going to say they took him down to avoid injury to him, and they slammed his head into the ground, breaking his neck and paralyzing.
Tell me, how would you frame your opening argument in this case involving Mr. Silva?
One of the main things that has to be established, the seriousness of a takedown gone bad. Okay? Because some jurors they understand shooting someone in the back is bad, right? Hitting someone over the head with a baton 5 times. That's more visual. Tasing someone 8 times. But taking someone to the ground, if I'm the defense in this case, this is a very unfortunate accident, is how I believe the defense will try to frame this.
You're going to head that off at the pass before they even get to it.
Yeah, I'm going to head it off the pass. I'm going to say, and I think some of our questioning, and Cooper's to my right here, you can see Mr. Cooper right there. I believe that in the deposition, and we can send you the transcripts, I asked the officer, and Cooper's taken some and I've taken some, were you trained that a takedown is a reportable use of force? Yes, start with the basics. Were you trained that if someone is taken down, they could be seriously injured, especially if they're handcuffed? Were you trained that one of the things you got to be careful of, if someone's taken down after they're handcuffed, they can't brace their fall and they can impact their head? Were you trained that an impact to the head against a hard surface could cause serious injury, even death or paralysis? Because what do we know happened? They took him down handcuffed and he hit his head. And they knew by their training that could happen. These officers even went so far, I believe, as saying in the depositions, we were trying to avoid him hitting his head. Didn't they? Did you have any evidence he had a weapon? Did you have any evidence of any specific injury to anyone? Had you called the ambulance? Did he punch you? Did he try to punch you? Did he kick you? Did he try to kick you? Did he try to tackle you to the ground? Did you realize that he might be a little bit off? Maybe some mental health crisis going on? Did you think he was homeless? So now you got all these facts that they were aware of beforehand. Where this guy really? And now he's handcuffed and he's in your custody and control. And you knew by bringing him to the ground, especially that you were on a hard surface. I would try to let the jury know this is not a serious crime they were responding to, that he was initially cooperative and even handcuffed, that he was showing clear signs of a mental health crisis and or someone under the influence and or both.
I think the really egregious part of what happened in that situation was not even just the initial injury that occurred, but the way that they treated him afterwards. And
Right,
they sort of mocked him.
Yeah, and moved him. And Cooper was really all over that too. He just felt the longer that video goes afterwards, the worse these cops look. They don't even look remorseful. They're almost like, and him crying out. It's very, when you have videos like that, I got to tell you, if I'm on the defense side, I don't want to try that case in front of a jury, certainly not against someone like me, because it could really go south.
Help me. We got hands coming in. No, come on, ow. Can you help me? Sit up. You are. Relax. Anthony, where's the pain? Huh? Anthony, look me real quick. Look me real quick. Okay. Let me want you to look at my pen, okay? You literally just had your eyes open. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want me to help you out before you have to do it? Then if you can do it, you can do it. Sit up. You can. You're moving your neck. What can I assist you with, Anthony?
Can you tell me a little bit about Anthony Silva's mental health issues?
Yeah, Anthony had been dealing with some pretty serious mental health issues since he was a young adult. He was diagnosed bipolar, and so he was trying to manage that with medication. And the deputies involved in this incident even acknowledged that they knew he was dealing with these mental issues and had seen him previously and knew that was something he was dealing with. But the way they treated him, it did not seem like they did that consideration.
It almost seemed like they treated him like he was on drugs or intoxicated rather than suffering from mental illness.
Be honest. Just so we know for ambulance. Just be honest, man. It was last time you used. What? When? When did you use? This morning? A couple hours ago? 5 minutes ago? Huh? But when did you use?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And sometimes officers use that as an out. I didn't think he was mentally ill because they know that's a sensitive issue. We just thought he was under the influence. But the reality is there's often a crossover between people who are homeless or semi-homeless and mentally ill and people who are sometimes doing drugs to self-medicate for a mental illness. So I think an argument could be made whether you think someone has a mental health crisis or is under the influence or you're not sure, you should really proceed with caution and try to de-escalate a situation rather than escalate.
Did you guys already depose all the officers involved in this case?
Pretty much. Yeah, I would say yes, with an exception maybe of a sergeant who came after the fact.
Did they provide any explanation for their behavior after the fact?
I'll let Cooper address that one. What would you say, Coop?
Absolutely not. The only way that they tried to escape responsibility for this was by saying that it was an accident, that they didn't mean to break his neck. But they didn't really have an excuse for why they had to use that kind of force given the circumstances.
Did they provide any excuse for why they didn't get a medical treatment or why they just sort of stood around and mocked them, et cetera?
Partially, they blamed it on the ambulance not showing up because they were busy doing something else. But one of the interesting things that came up in the deposition is that they put out a call code 2. And in the depositions, it came out that if something is very serious, you put out a call code 3. And that means the ambulance comes out and gives your call priority. And even though they acknowledged that he said he was paralyzed and they acknowledged that they never saw his legs move after the takedown, they decided to put out a call for a code 2. And the ambulance didn't think it was a priority and didn't come for more than 30 minutes. So they have no excuse for that.
Come on, man, you were very talkative earlier. Huh? They don't have any available. But we're trying to figure out where to sit on your stomach. Is it more comfortable to sit up? Sit up. I can help you. I can. You can help us. Move your leg. Move this leg. Move. Huh? Yeah. You move. I just relax, dude. No, yeah, I'm ready. Anthony, do you have your hand on phone? When was the last time you used it, man? When was the last time you used it? It was restricted, bro. You go with Silla. Anthony. You want to go to jail? Sit up. You want to go to jail? Sit up. Hey, you want to go to jail? Go ahead. When you're done. Yeah. Hey, we can help you, Anthony. Mr. Silva. Hey, man. The fire department.
Didn't he die like a year after this occurred?
Yes, he died a little bit less than a year after this occurred. It happened on October 8th, 2022, and he died on September 10th, 2023.
What was Mr. Silva's life like from the date of this injury till the date that he died?
Oh, it was absolutely horrible. So from the date this happened, he never left the hospital bed. He was intubated for most of it. He couldn't breathe with the power of his own lungs. So they had him on a machine for that entire year. And he didn't leave his bed once. He was paralyzed immediately. And essentially, the pictures of him in the hospital over the year, you see a man wither away. He loses weight month after month until he's a husk of a person, and eventually his body can't keep going, and he dies.
Was he in a coma, or was he able to communicate during that time?
He was able to communicate very basically. He couldn't talk full sentences because he was fully intubated, but he could acknowledge what people were saying to him and say yes or no or nod his head. So he was there, but he wasn't able to actively communicate with people. We got involved pretty soon after it happened. Originally, we were representing Anthony himself, and we actually filed the complaint while he was still alive in the hospital. Shortly after we filed the complaint, unfortunately, he passed away, and we immediately had to substitute in his mother as a plaintiff in the case. But we were involved in the case, I think, about 6 or 7 months after it happened is when we joined.
They still never did any sort of investigation on what happened, even though they had all this body cam footage?
there's been, from what we can tell in the depositions and the paperwork they've turned over during discovery, there's been no investigation whatsoever.
Are the officers involved? Are they all with the same agency?
Yes, they're all with
Can y'all believe what's going on right now? This is so unbelievable. These cops literally killed this man for no reason. And then it's a battle. His family is having a battle, taking them to court for killing somebody they love for absolutely no reason other than they felt like they could do it, or their ego caused them to. Can you imagine? Could you imagine this? They run up, they slam this man on the ground, and the man is like, "Why are y'all slamming me on the ground?" and asking questions, trying to figure out what's going on, and they kill him. They literally kill him. And that's what I talk about when we talk about our rights, and we're exercising our rights. You never know what that situation can turn into. You may think, "Oh, I just take the ride." That ride might be your last ride ever.
the Stanislaus Sheriff's Department.
And I take it none of them have been disciplined in any way.
The funny thing is the defense counsel is a real piece of work, and he told, because I've had other trials with cases with him and big verdicts or settlements, he told Cooper words to the effect, "Why is Dale even involved in this case? This is such a nothing case, you know." And here, and we see this as a serious 7-figure case. So I think he's finally getting it. But Cooper took the last few depots, and he's extremely rude to Cooper, this guy.
Did they take any responsibility here, even from the date that this happened, for what occurred?
Zero.
It's even worse than that, in that it's come out through the depositions that there was no internal investigation at all, even though they knew the day after this, that without any doubt, they knew that he had broken his neck during the incident. There was no internal investigation of it. And from what I can tell, they didn't report it to the California Department of Justice. And they're required by their own policies to report these kinds of incidents that result in serious bodily injury to the DOJ. So in all respects, they didn't take this incident seriously, even though a man ended up paralyzed and then eventually dying because of it.
I think they were hoping that nobody would find out, especially any competent lawyers. And the mother was semi-homeless, so it's a miracle that she got in touch with a lawyer who got in touch with us. I think that's one of the reasons. I think they were trying to hope that nobody would know about this. And I think the fact that they didn't do a thorough investigation really makes them look bad.
Yeah.
Are they contesting that the use of force that occurred and the aftermath caused him to be paralyzed?
I don't think they're contesting that. We haven't gotten into experts yet. I think they're going to say, yes, that did cause it. But, I think they're going to file a summary judgment motion, try to get off qualified immunity and anything else they can do, take an interlocutory appeal if that doesn't work. So I think we're in for a battle on this, but I think we're going to come ahead. We have some good Ninth Circuit cases that talk about takedowns are very serious and could cause serious injury. And so I think given that he was handcuffed and on a hard surface, we also have our state claims, which we have no caps in California, and they're not subject to qualified immunity. So even if things went south on our federal claims, we also have passed a state statute recently, post George Floyd, for pre-death pain and suffering under state law. So because he's passed away, we're going to go for all of his pre-death pain and suffering, and we have some pretty good experts on that. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But if you want us to keep you in the loop on everything or send you documents, we're happy to do it.
As far as these officers, do you know if any of them had been involved in other egregious incidents or other prior incidents?
Yes. So one of the deputies involved in the takedown, Deputy Camara, and he was involved in a very serious use of force incident in 2018, Alejandro Sanchez, who was also killed while in deputy custody, even though he was in a full wrap. So he was fully restrained, and he died of blunt force trauma to the head. The circumstances under which that happened were very mysterious, since there was no video in that case. But the case did settle for a large amount, and Deputy Camara was involved in the restraint of that individual at the time that he had the blunt force trauma to his head. Another deputy involved in that prior incident was also there at the scene, Deputy Babbitt, who we just deposed recently, was a witness in this case. In that case, nobody was punished either. There was no retraining of any of the deputies in that case. There was no consequences for any of their careers.
And that is the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department?
That's right.
And quite frankly, it's incidents like this that I think destroys the public trust in law enforcement. I mean, imagine being at the park and seeing them throw some guy to the ground on his head who's already handcuffed. I mean, it's really horrible. We need police to help us, but we got to expect better than that. And I agree with you. Not only him hitting his head is horrible, and we've slowed it down and have still videos and photos of that, but the
Think about that. The man was handcuffed and they slammed him face down into the ground and broke his neck. And later the man died. Just think about that. And you have to imagine those are the type of people that we are calling to come help us in any type of situation. You have to think twice every single time you call.
the aftermath of that, the aftermath of treating a fellow human being like that, someone who's handcuffed and in your custody, is really troubling.
Okay, so even though this happened in 2022, everything was captured on body cam, multiple cameras. There's, what you said, thousands of pages of medical records. Is there any reason why even tomorrow or next week that the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department couldn't still do an internal investigation to see whether or not these officers they still employ should be disciplined or terminated? I mean, is there any reason why they couldn't still do that investigation?
No, absolutely not. I think the reason and to add to that, John, I don't think they have given this over to any prosecuting agency to look at to see if there's any criminal conduct. But I think at this point, they're afraid that any internal review is going to find that this was not within policy and concerned we're going to be able to use that somehow in the civil case. So it always gets back to they're more concerned with money and covering their backside than doing the right thing, than stepping up and saying this is unacceptable. And that's why I think it sends the wrong message to a lot of these.
stage and then possibly through a trial. My huge takeaway here, as I said at the beginning of the video, is how insane is it that you have these undisputed facts. Anthony Silva was not suspected of having committed any serious crime. He was taken into custody violently. He was put in handcuffs, and then a use of force was inflicted on him that paralyzed him. A use of force was inflicted on him that caused his death in a very miserable way. It's undisputed that these police officers did that to him, that they killed this man. And yet there has been no investigation from the government, not from the prosecutor's office. They didn't put it before a grand jury. They didn't make a YouTube video about it. They didn't issue any sort of press release about it with report details, nothing, no investigation. And according to the attorneys, when they took their sworn depositions, they had received no discipline whatsoever. They're all still with Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department. They're right there. They still have a badge and a gun, and they still have the ability to do who knows what else they're still doing to citizens there. And the government doesn't care. So I'll put the contact information for Stanislaus County in the first pinned comment below. If you live there, you might want to contact your politicians and be outraged about this. They have the ability to get rid of bad cops if they want to. They have the ability to prosecute bad cops if they want to. Doesn't matter if it's pending litigation. There was pending litigation in the George Floyd case the whole time. It's just a lack of will to do so. They just don't care. They're not going to care until you make them care. For further updates and coverage of this lawsuit, please subscribe both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.
You gotta think about it, man. Could you imagine that? That's what they're doing to people. We got another video pulled up and ready. Don't check out another one. I just want to let y'all know, I don't really watch that many of these videos unless I'm streaming or I find a way to really, that's the only time I watch these videos, when I'm actually on live stream and I have people to watch the video with. That's when I watch it. So for all the people that have an issue with me speaking during the videos, or I don't know, they have an issue with me commenting or saying what I feel on the video, they say, oh, you need to be quiet. When I constantly say the name of the video in the beginning of the video, the title and the channel. So if you want to watch the video by yourself, you can go and do that. But over here, we have a community. We have people who want to watch things together and experience things together.
To the ground by police over a shooting that never even happened.
Welcome back to We the People University. My name is Abaya Israel, former police officer and former sheriff's deputy. Imagine just sitting at home having a cup of coffee and your sick wife calls the police and she tells them you may have shot her in the head. And then from that point, the Louisville Police Department, along with the Jeffersontown Police Department, show up. They snatch you from your home, throw you in cuffs, but yet you're a 72-year-old man and you go flying down maybe 2 or 3 steps and you land right on your face. That's exactly what happened in this video. That's the first video we're going to watch. Stay tuned to the end because we have a second video we're going to cover at the same time. Let's check this out.
That is September 2019. Serpigilia says he was in the kitchen drinking coffee, reading the newspaper before officers knocked at the door. According to his lawsuit, he heard yelling and noticed officers outside. He didn't know police were responding to a 911 call made by his ill wife. The woman had called 911 in a, quote, delusional state, claiming that her husband shot her in the head. She was not hurt or in any danger. Court records say she had previously been hospitalized and had mental health issues.
Now, in this situation, the dispatchers should have inquired a little bit more. So, ma'am, you were shot in the head. I mean, how many times? I don't know. You sound like you're perfectly fine. When I was working on the department, it wasn't like it was unknown to receive tons and tons of crazy calls. If you watch my other channel, Cocktails, I have a story over there where I went to the home of one woman, and I thought everything was perfectly fine until she started to tell me about the people from World War II who was living under her house, and they had been there for, I guess, 20 years. At that point, okay, we're starting to put things together. She may be dealing with some type of issues. So this is why we ask the questions. But yet the dispatchers failed, and both police departments failed. They just, oh, you've been shot. Okay, let me show up to your home, pull your husband out, throw him on the ground. Although he's 72 years old, and a 72-year-old man falling down or flying or being thrown down 2 or 3 steps, plummeting flat on the ground, hitting his face and head is not a good thing. But that's the response of police nowadays.
What? Elderly man injured his shoulder and head and was taken to the hospital after the takedown. He sued Louisville and Jeffersontown police, who both responded to the scene for excessive force. LMPD is responsible for all but $5,000 of that $250,000 payout. It should be noted that when questioned, officers said the elderly man was non-compliant and refused to step outside, but that is not what is shown in the body cam footage. We asked LMPD today whether the officers were investigated or disciplined for that force or truthfulness. The department has not yet responded.
So finally, after 4 or 5 years, this guy and $45,000. It's not enough. I mean, even if he wasn't injured, just to be thrown downstairs by police officers who did not properly investigate to find out what was going on, and you're thrown down as a 72-year-old man, that to me is not enough. At some point, they have to learn. Maybe we can take their pensions. Maybe their jobs should be, their jobs should be on the line. They should not be policing, throwing elderly men to the ground without properly investigating what's going on. That man was no threat whatsoever. But I showed that video first because I want to transition into the next video that we're about to go into. And the reason we see videos like the ones that we just watched is because of the videos we're about to watch. Small things. When we allow police to violate our rights, even the smallest thing, the smallest right, it grows into what we just watched. Now we're about to just look at a few police officers from the state of Louisiana, the city of Walker, and they're upset because people record the police, and this man recording them said nothing to them. He kept his distance away from them. His video was brought to you by the YouTube channel Truth Be Told Audit, and he's just minding his business. He records the police, and then he goes to wash his car. And let's see what happens after just going to simply wash his car. Let's check this out.
Asking for his insurance right now. And we have unit 3084. And unit number 108. That one's over, people. Look at this. Look at this right here.
And this is how you know it's retaliation. Guy said nothing. He's at the car wash. Here they come all of a sudden. Let's keep watching.
Good, about yourself. Name and badge numbers? How you doing? And yours? Look, I'm running the plate. Look at this. Come on, Craven, what you doing? What you doing, Craven?
What's up, how you doing?
Yeah, about yourself, man.
Good. Yeah, license registration?
4.
Or your license actually not going to identify you?
4.
Because you're loitering at this point. You're not using this business.
I bet you got quarters out of my seatbelt just to wash my car.
Okay, well, you've been here.
I've been here for 4 minutes. I've been here for 4 minutes. I've already been here. Okay. This is not loitering. This is not loitering.
You're not using business.
So I can't use my phone. I can't hang up on the phone call. This is not loitering.
Can I have your ID, please, sir?
Craven, really? You really gonna go this far?
Can I have your ID, please, sir?
For sitting here for 3 minutes before I wash my car?
Can I have your ID, sir?
And finish the cigarette before? What is expecting
I
me
said you were loitering.
It's not loitering.
Yes, it is. It is.
I've been sitting here for 3 minutes and I've got it all on camera.
No problem.
We got it all on camera. Okay. For what crime? Loitering. This is not loitering, sir.
Can you show me your ID, please, sir? One more time. Can I identify you, please, sir? I have a lawful right to identify you. You're committing a crime, loitering. If you don't identify yourself,